Hey guys, Joe here, and welcome back to episode 2 of the Queen Walk strategy. Today we are going to be discussing the mechanics of the strategy, but before I get into that, let's quickly recap the previous video. So last video I discussed the planning phase and the Queen's AI. I discussed heavily on locating the air defenses first before you actually go in on the Queen Walk or drop your Queen. You want to ensure that you can get in there and get your Queen in on one of those air defenses before it starts taking out your healers. Also identifying the air sweepers and ensuring that they're not blowing your healers off of your Queen as you're attempting to do your walk. And then next, locating all the point defenses in the area or the zone that you intend to Queen Walk to ensure that you're not going in on 3 or 4 or even 2 expos, which is going to pop up here in a second, to ensure that you're not going in on too heavily defenses that's going to cause you to end up using your rage spell way earlier than you planned to do in the first place. The expos will cause you to do that. I had an attack yesterday actually where I got a little on edge. I dropped my Queen where I had walked in between 2 different expos, but I was able to pull it off and save her with a rage spell, but I used my rage way earlier than I intended to do. Also, when you're in the planning phase, you're going to look for the clan castle and the enemy heroes to ensure that you're when you pull the clan castle, you're fully aware of what or prepared for what's going to come out of it, and ensure that you have a wizard or a high DPS troop to assist your Queen or the rage on standby in order to assist with taking out the clan castle. If not, if you encounter a hero on your Queen's walk, you can also use the rage to get her through that situation as well. And then also lastly, if you are Town Hall 10 or 11, I discussed the Infernos and identifying their locations. And then as we go into the Queen's AI, I also used an overlay to show you the Queen's 5-tile range as well as the 8-tile detection radius in order to show you what the Queen's seeing as she transitions through her attacks. Today we're going to be talking about the mechanics of the attack, and I'm going to start out first with the Queen's level. That's really imperative to discuss today, and I say that because we all have bad habits of showing off these replays of max level Queens doing these Queen Walk strategies, but the small percentage of people are actually advanced, high competitive players. If you're watching this video, more than likely you either searched it or found it through a friend because you had a low level Queen and you wanted to learn how to do this. So as you see here, I have put up the levels per Queen from 1 to 10, and then followed by that for a couple of seconds I'll have from 11 to 20. And this is probably the average area that a lot of people's archer Queens are at. Not necessarily because you don't want to be higher, but a lot of folks are worried about their defenses, and you get trapped into what I did. Was I worried about my defenses more than my actual heroes until I got higher Town Hall 9 and 10, and then I realized at Town Hall 10 I had level 20 heroes, and I realized that I needed them more than ever in the attack. So, and it was actually hurting me more than it was actually doing me any good. So what I'm going to tell you first off is that if you are working with a Queen that's under level 10, I would advise not attempting a Queen Walk until you at least get her to level 10. But once you're at level 10, don't rush her into a war unless you're attacking, I don't know, a Town Hall 8 or something or such like that. And the reason why I say that is because level 10 Queen has a DPS of 199. And if you actually calculate that or do a couple of multiplayer attacks with her prior to going into a war, you'll realize that a level 10 Queen does not move as fast or does not engage structures fast enough and destroy them fast enough to do what these level 40 Queens with a 419 DPS are able to do. So granted your level, take into account the base that you're about to hit. What I'm showing you today is a split screen. On the left side you have a level 13 Queen, and on the right side you have a level 21 Queen. Really what I want to show you here is for you to watch the time difference between the Queen levels. These are lower level Queens, and both defenses are nothing really to brag about. That's not what I'm trying to highlight here. What I'm trying to highlight here for you is the attackers both understood their queen levels and what their queens could handle before they tried to take on something a lot higher level than what they could sustain. So I believe both queens have the same amount of healers on them, and as you see on the left side, the level 13 queen had to have a rage used on her a little bit quicker than what is being done on the right side. Maybe that's just because there was more denser defenses on the left side than what there is on the right. However, really what I'm trying to show you here is that you have to take into account experience level and understanding the base types that you can take on prior to jumping into an attack. And let's say that you try to take in, well, as you can see on the right side, you got Town Hall 9 defenses with lower level Town Hall 10, Infernos and whatnot. And on the left side, you have high level Town Hall 8 defenses. So understanding your queen's level and understanding your own personal experience level and what you're comfortable with is what is to be taken from these two different replays. Experience and practice is what counts in this strategy. And let's go ahead and talk about healers and healer usage. So with the healers, you are always going to drop your healers immediately after dropping your queen. You're not going to hesitate. You're going to drop all of them depending on how many you actually bring. Now that might be a question for a lot of newer folks, is how many healers should I bring for my queen? So I'm going to start by re-emphasizing that healers will prioritize their healing to larger groups of troops. So the closer your healers get within your second phase of troops, you're more than likely going to lose their focus on your archer queen. Now with that being said, the stacking effectiveness of healers begins to decrease after 4 healers, and then it drastically drops at 6 healers. So you have to remember that a healer is 14 housing space, so that would place 6 healers at 84 total space within your barracks or your camps, if you will. And that ends up taking up entirely too much space. So I'm going to end up showing you an attack here, or a couple of attacks, and showing different amount of healers on different level queens. This attack here is emanation from, I can't recall the clan he's from. We did a Patreon war with Clash with Ash recently. But as you see here, he drew the clan castle troops and he only dropped 3 of his 4 healers here. I don't know if this was intentional or not, but what I want to show off is the fact that he has to use his Royal Cloak ability entirely way earlier than what he probably should have had to do there. Either that or it might have been intentional. The 3 healers just wasn't putting off enough healing effects on the queen to survive the point defenses firing upon her, as well as the clan castle troops engaging her at the same time. Now we're going to transition into another attack showing off 4 healers. This is actually Ash Lane himself. Highly competitive player, highly experienced, and understands the use of the queen walk strategy. He has 4 healers here, level 40 queen, mind you, so he can afford to do this. And as I said before, about 4 healers being the max effective amount of healing effects. So this works out really well for the experienced player and understanding, how to take on these bases. Which leads us into 5 healers. I want to show off a level 14 queen with 5 healers on her, and she's taking an X-bow and an archer tower. Not a whole lot of damage being dealt to her currently. However, she's about to walk into a 3rd archer tower, as well as that Tesla is firing at her as well, and she's being able to hold up pretty well without the rage spell on her, and she's doing pretty well. I do this with a level 14 queen, and I also still do it with a level 40 queen of my own. It's really user preference and how comfortable you are with the strategy. When it comes to this strategy, it's really a matter of experience and how comfortable you are with your experience level. So 5 healers actually works for me. Try it out if you're not doing well with 4 healers and see how it works for you. It's really just user preference and comfortability. So, and as you saw there, the wall breaker usage, we're going to talk a little bit about wall breakers and how to use them in conjunction with this strategy. And you can actually tie in this discussion on wall breakers into your other strategies on things that I've picked up over time when it came to the use of wall breakers and the queen walk. So I'm going to show you this next replay by Ward of Elite Academy. Great replay, great attacker. He wants to bring his queen in through this compartment on the far right side, and as you saw there, he dropped 2 wall breakers, but it was after he had gotten the attention of both defenses on his queen. And then you also seen that he dropped 2 more wall breakers to open up the northern portion of that compartment, because what he wanted to do was he wanted to take out these structures where the mortar and the air defense is sitting right now, and then he wants to actually send her north in order to create a wider funnel for his Valkyries in order to funnel them into the core. And really the highlight of that is being able to open up the compartments while there was still defenses in them. Wall breakers will not open up compartments that are empty. Just remember that one. They will not open up compartments that are empty. So if your queen takes out the structures within a compartment and you want to try to open that compartment for her, it's a little too late at that point. You need to get those wall breakers down while the defenses are distracted on the queen, and then send in 2 wall breakers. If you have level 6 wall breakers on these Lego walls, it only requires 2. If there's level 10 walls, 3 wall breakers, or 3 level 6 wall breakers are required to open those. And then if you have level 5 wall breakers, you'll need 3 in order to open up these Lego walls. Hopefully I didn't confuse you too much right there. Check out the level of your wall breaker and take that into consideration when you decide to take on. And maybe you might be able to actually minimize your wall breaker usage on some of your attacks, especially with this new update that's about to come up and drop really soon on some friendly attacks. You can actually test these strategies out within your your clans and your friends. Okay, so at this point, if you're still around, a lot of you are probably saying, hey, great, I got the healers, I got the queen, I understand the wall breakers, but I keep losing my queen in the process of doing this strategy. It's starting to get really old. How do I save her? Well, obviously most of us would know that 2 ways to save your queen. Use the Royal Cloak ability to make her invisible, or drop a rage spell in order to boost the healers. Not necessarily the queen, but the healers are the ones that really matter when it comes to the rage spell. In this replay here, I take on the clan castle, which just happened to be a lava hound, and I ended up raging my queen because I had the enemy queen sitting right there with a question mark above her head, and I didn't know if she was going to come after me at the same time as that lava hound. And so I ended up having to use both the ability and a rage spell. With that being said, I'm going to say that it's more of a comfort thing. If you are unsure of when to use that rage spell, or you're new to doing this altogether, if you're not feeling comfortable at that very moment and you're seeing 3 or more defenses striking your queen at the same time, just drop the rage spell and get ready to pop the Royal Cloak ability. When you're doing this strategy, your main focus should be the queen in the early stages until you get a better idea of what's going to happen and whether you can transition into the second phase of your attack. As you see here, this queen is taking on the mortar, no big deal on the mortar, the cannon, the point defense, and the wizard tower. Wizard tower and the mortar, not really that big of a deal when it comes to the queen. She can take those on no problem, but it's that expo that she's about to walk into, as well as the 2 other point defenses. Level 11 queen, not very strong, not a lot of health on her, so I end up just dropping the rage spell to save her, and then gets her health right back up in order to power through the next couple of defenses and structures in order for her to move on throughout the rest of the attack. Now let's go ahead and tie all this together. I got a replay here from Mighty Bomb Jack of A-Team 2, great attacker. He actually uses Queen Walk on this base with a second phase of golems and Valkyries. I want to draw your attention to the northwestern portion of the base. This is where he actually brings his queen in. And I really just want to highlight on this replay the troop placement, the queen's placement. And you'll kind of see the healers, the amount of healers he uses in play, as well as the wall breaker usage. And basically, I want to point out the point defenses here. There's a decent spread on the point defenses. This is not a bad base. It's a good base for queen walking. However, on the area that he comes in, you got the enemy clan castle and the enemy archer queen all in the same zone. So as this raid goes live, he does a couple of sniping on the outside, on those structures on the outer portions of the base. And really, this is for focusing on funneling those Valkyries. They'll definitely stray off with these structures that are tightly close together, like the gold mines and the elixir drills are. And as you see here, he's got his queen down, and he comes up in between the cannon and then the wizard tower. He goes ahead and cracks open that wall, and he's really looks like he's after the air defense here. But at the same time, he came into the radius of the clan castle and pulls that hound. Does a great job of using wizards to assist that archer queen to get rid of these the lava hound and the lava pups as they start, as you see there, they start to work on the healers up there. And then his queen starts to work her way into the base, and he also starts the second phase of his attack, so because he spent so much time on that portion of the attack with dealing with that hound. He'd already burned off quite a bit of time with the snipes and the clan castle troops, so he ends up having to start the second phase of his attack probably a little bit earlier than what he wanted to. He had to use his queen's ability, the royal cloak ability, on the enemy queen because she came up in the zone there. And it's, nothing really fundamentally wrong here at all. It's just the funneling on the Valkyries. They just decided they wanted to stay outside and definitely not take the core because obviously on the outsides of these resource ring bases, there's a lot of structures that are clumped up together. So not a bad attack overall. Just 1 star. Really, I just want to highlight the queen walk portion of this raid. I don't really care to show off or discuss the second phase. I'll start talking about that in the next video. I'm going to end you there. The next video is going to be focused on picking up where we left off on the second phase of the attack, tying the queen walk into that, and also I'll show off some bases that are prone for this. Obviously the resource ring base, because I've showed you that multiple times. And yeah, tune in for the next one. Hey guys, Joe here, and if you made it to this part of the video, thank you. Be sure to follow me on Twitter, and I appreciate and am humbled by every single like and comment that's dropped down below. Help me out by giving me some feedback and tell me where I can get better at this whole YouTube thing. And I only solely do this for the passion of the game and the family aspect. So, as always, you take care.